Here we have more examples of the inseparable phrasal verbs that, as we said, here we have 11 and we can't separate them if we want to use them to make a sentence, because if we do it, if we separate them, our sentence is gonna be out of logic and then it's gonna be incorrect. So maybe I want to use the verb cater to, that in Spanish means complacer, and this is what I want to say. I always cater to my grandpas. To say in Spanish, yo siempre complazco a mis abuelos. So I do what they want, okay? If I want to separate cater and to, the problem is that to is a preposition that means para o a, and when we say para o a, we need an object, necesitamos un objeto, alguien que reciba la acción. So if I put it at the end of my sentence, nobody's gonna receive that action. So that's why it is incorrect. So it's not correct to say, I always cater my grandpas too, because in Spanish it's like, yo siempre complazco mis abuelos a qué? This is incomplete, right? So the same happens if we want to separate one of these 11 inseparable phrasal verbs. So we have to keep in mind that we have 11 phrasal verbs that we can't separate. Here is the last category that we are going to study about the phrasal verbs. This category is about the always separated phrasal verbs, los siempre separados verbos frasales. It means that we have the obligation to separate them all the time. And we have only 3 always separated phrasal verbs that are do over to say hacer de nuevo, start over to say empezar de nuevo, and talk into to say convencer. And as you can see, we have parentheses in the middle because there we are gonna put a person, an object, or something. For example, do your homework over, do the report over, or start your report over. So it is important to put something in the middle to separate the phrasal verbs. For example, it says, please do your homework over. So as you can see, here's the phrasal verb do and over to say hacer de nuevo, and something in the middle y algo en medio, your homework. So what we are saying in Spanish is, por favor, haz tu tarea de nuevo. Maybe your homework was incorrect and that's why you have to do your homework over. Another example of the always separated phrasal verbs. If we say, please start your presentation over, to say, por favor, comienza tu exposición de nuevo. So as you can see, we have start over, do over, and we have to put something in the middle in order to separate these phrasal verbs because they are always separated phrasal verbs. Here we have more examples of the always separated phrasal verbs that, as we said, we have only 3 and we have the obligation to put something in the middle, a person, an object, something, in order to separate them. For example, now we are going to use the phrasal verb talk into to say convencer, okay? So we can say, I need to talk my dad into using his car. So here we have a special situation. Yo necesito convencer a mi papá para usar su carro. So, talking to convencer. And this is important. When you have into, the next part of the sentence has to be a verb with ing. Aquí hay algo especial. Si estamos utilizando la palabra into en inglés, si vamos a usar un verbo, ese verbo tiene que estar con ing para que su significado sea usar, cambiar, trabajar, comer, el infinitivo. So this is important. I need to talk my dad into using his car to say, yo necesito convencer a mi papá para usar su carro. So talk into, convencer, and we have to put something in the middle. Another example of talking into. If we say, I want to talk my teachers into doing less homework, to say, yo necesito convencer a mis maestros para hacer menos tarea. So talk my teachers into, talk my dad into, talk my sister into, and this is the form in the one we are gonna use these 3 always separated phrasal verbs. So as you can see, students, phrasal verbs are a special type of verbs that are formed by 2 or 3 words. And as we said, there are different types of phrasal verbs. The separable phrasal verbs, the always separated phrasal verbs, and the inseparable phrasal verbs. So students, do you think that now you identify what phrasal verbs are? And do you identify the different categories of the phrasal verbs? And finally, do you identify how to use phrasal verbs? I hope you do. So well, this is everything about this presentation. So thank you so much for paying attention to it, and congratulations for all the effort that you have given during this course. Thank you so much.